there's a few things I wanted to look at today. And the first one is about Steam and what exactly are they doing? Now, I do know that, I've kind of looked at some of the stuff about them now, the taking down some of the adult games, which personally I think is ridiculous. If you've got a bunch of weirdos want to play some porno video games, it's just a fucking video game, who cares? And as long as it's marketed as like, that kind of content or 18 and older kind of stuff, credit card companies and PayPal, they shouldn't be allowed to tell you what you can and can't buy. You don't really see that kind of stuff happening when you go into like a sex shop. You can still use your Visa or whatever card to pay for fucking sex toys and weird shit like that. So why should it be any different for video games, which aren't even real? Like, you can go into a goddamn sex shop and buy a bunch of BDSM shit and straps and shit like that, and credit card companies don't deny you for that. So why should this be any different? It's overreaching ridiculousness is exactly what it is. So, but anywho, I digress. But yeah, no, let's go ahead and look into this and see what's going on with Steam now.
There's an ongoing problem happening right now amidst the video game industry that has gotten many talking. Of course, I'm talking about the censorship of payment processors that has begun to plague seemingly everything in the past 2 weeks alone. In case you don't know, Collective Shout is a feminist organization located in Australia that has successfully forced places like Steam to bend the knee and get rid of hundreds of adult-themed video games by pressuring the payment companies ranging from Visa, MasterCard, and more to comply. It was a massive move by this activist organization that ended up working in their favor. Since then, things have really honestly only gotten worse. And now players are pushing back, and it's not all that Steam is facing in terms of controversies that I'll get into later on as well. Firstly, after Steam
it's when a credit card company, hey Emmy, how's it going? But yeah, when a credit card company is the one forcing an entire like website or platform like Steam to literally bend the knee and force them into a situation that they don't necessarily agree with or that they didn't really want to do in the first place. I can understand taking down games that are revolving around like rape or whatever, like I get that, but just normal little stupid hentai games or whatever, like who gives a shit? Like, who are they really hurting? But no, the real problem stems from the fact that these credit card companies can like bully these platforms into stuff like this, and that's when it gets to be a problem, in my opinion. So yeah, no, something needs to be done about them as far as that. Like, as I said, you can go into a sex shop and buy all kinds of weird shit, and Visa and whatnot will never, try to stop you from that. So why should a video game be able to be stopped? Like, it's a fucking video game, it's not real.
Bent the knee and removed 418 adult-themed video games from their platform, the Steam player base has quickly rallied to push back against what is so clearly blatant censorship. A Change.org petition has already begun that has, of this video being made anyways, almost crossing 50,000 signatures already. Here's the petition, and it's titled, "Tell MasterCard, Visa, and activist groups stop controlling what we can watch, read, or play."
Yeah, and
the
that's
petition
essentially
is
what
lengthy.
it is.
I'll read the beginning of it at least.
It's just censorship.
MasterCard and Visa are interfering with legal entertainment, often under pressure from advocacy groups like Collective Shout. We demand an end to this censorship of fiction and the right to choose the stories we enjoy without...
See, that's the other thing, though, is because it's not like these things are like blatantly visual to a lot of like minors and whatnot. It's because you have to have like a tag, like on your Steam account, there's a tag, you can, hide certain things and make sure certain things don't pop up. So that way, the only way people can see these kind of things is if they're actively searching for it or actively have an interest in it. So it's not like it's a detriment to minors or whatever. And besides, most minors, let's be fucking honest, they're getting on other websites to watch this shit. If they really want to, they'll find a way around it. And you're not gonna like shield this kind of shit from minors their entire fucking life. If they want to see it, they're going to find a way to see it. They have literally, kids nowadays have fucking computers in their back pocket. that can do all kinds of crazy shit. So no, unless the parents are going out of their way to monitor what their kids are doing, which they should, then it's bound to happen. But no, this is totally ridiculous.
Moral policing. MasterCard and Visa have increasingly used their financial control to pressure platforms into censoring legal fictional content. Entire genres of books, games, films, and artwork are being demonetized or deplatformed, not because they're illegal, but because they offend the personal values of executives or activist groups. This behavior is not just
so overreaching.
It's
not
blatant
even funny.
hypocrisy. Of course, I'll leave a link to this change.org petition in the...
It's like me saying, like, hey, I don't like racing games. You need to take down all your racing games off of your website. Or, I don't like rom-coms. You need to remove all rom-coms off of Netflix because I don't agree with that. It's so stupid. Just because you don't agree with something or you don't like something doesn't give you the right to take it off, to force a company to take it off of their website or their platform. It's so ridiculous.
The description box below so that you can all sign it yourselves. It's not region locked either, at least I think so anyway, so you're good to go if you want to get this issue placed in front of more people, and of course eyes, and especially those in government who can actually fight back against this sort of thing. And also, if you enjoy the content, consider liking the video, please, and subscribing to keep up to date on everything. It helps immensely. Also, as this part of the petition also states, it's hypocritical that platforms like OnlyFans are allowed to exist, which is quite literally just PORN. I can't even say the word on YouTube, unfortunately, because it's another form of censorship, but the line that gets crossed is an adult-themed video game instead. It's hypocritical, and when I say it's a slippery slope, this is indeed the most slippery...
It boils down to what George Carlin always said. It's the good old American double standard. They don't want to push this stuff so that they can enforce it or for any real value. They just want to enforce it so that way they can tell other people what to do. It's a typical trend amongst here in America, and not even just in America anymore. I mean, it's all over the place. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, unless they're going to start banning people from spending money with a Visa or MasterCard through OnlyFans, there's no reason why they should be coming for like the throat of these like adult themed games. Like, it's just so ludicrous and retarded. It's not even funny.
Of slopes, people. These are also 4 demands of this petition, which are as follows. Stop censoring legal fictional content that complies with the law and platform.
Keyword, fictional. Not even fucking real. It's made up. It's so stupid to come after something like a video game. It'd be different if they were going after, you know, the hub, but they're not. They're going after video games, which it is a form of content that is completely made up. They don't even see you going after, you don't see them going after like all these erotica books and shit like that. Most of these fucking erotica books are just, it's blatant, like sexual abuse kind of books. A lot of erotica is like that. There's other forms of media that push that kind of like that type of fantasy. But yeah, no, it's fictional crap. It's made up. It's not even fucking real. And yet they want to censor it.
Standards. Reject influence from activist groups that promote moral panic or misrepresent fiction as harm. Be fully transparent about content restrictions and the rationale behind them. Protect creators' rights to make legal adult content and ensure a fair appeals process for any penalized media. I know this story may not be very glamorous or anything, but guys, this is probably one of the most important...
It reminds me of the Satanic Panic back in like the 70s and 80s around Dungeons and Dragons. So, if you're not aware, back in the 70s and 80s, when Dungeons and Dragons was like kind of like on the rise of popularity, a lot of like Christian groups or religious groups were pushing against Dungeons and Dragons because they felt that it was satanic. Because, you know, you were essentially, you know, fighting demons and devils and monsters, and that's what the devil is. And so they seen it as a form of like satanic worship, and Dungeons and Dragons saw a huge pushback against it. Now, obviously, we all know that that's not what it is. It's literally just a made up story that you play through and you role play in. But they didn't see it that way. It's because of their lack of understanding, their idiocy, and their religious cult rules force them to see it as something that it's not. And so because of that idiocy and their lack of understanding of something, they try to push it in a different direction to get their own agenda, like, passed, or to make them seem more, relevant or whatnot. I'm trying to find the right words to say it, but I can't. Still trying to wake up. Okay. God damn it. But yeah, no, all this just reminds me of like the satanic panic around Dungeons and Dragons back in like the 70s and 80s.
Important things to talk about right now, and share more info so people are informed and can actually push back, because things are getting dire fast. You need to realize just how damaging this can be to everything that you play, buy, or consume in any capacity as a citizen. These activist groups are trying to control everything. They are literally forcing Steam and more to bend to their will. Even itch.io or itch.io, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to go with itch.io. If it's wrong, let me know. But anyway, which if you don't know, it's a website that is a lot like Steam. However, itch.io is more geared towards independent games than, say, full-blown AAA gaming. Itch.io is more like a digital marketplace for everything from games to manga and more. Even music and gaming assets can be found on the website too. It's essentially a place that has a lot of freedom of expression at the heart of everything, except, well, not anymore. As seen here, itch.io has updated their terms of service without even telling their own creators and users beforehand. This decision was made immediately following pressure from payment processors who were refusing to allow collaboration with the website. Unless...
And I'll be honest, this is only the beginning, because if they're going to go after video game related stuff or fictional type content like this, what's to stop them from going after, anything else? I mean, even Walmart sells fucking vibrators now. Come on. Like, let's be real here. What if they wanted to go after that kind of stuff, and to where, you're not allowed to use these type of payment methods to, supply your own kinks or whatever, your own fetishes, and like, who gives a shit? If somebody's sitting in their fucking bathroom, or in their bathroom, maybe, I don't know, if they're sitting in their bedroom, not harming anybody, and they're sitting behind a fucking computer screen, jerking it to some weird shit, who gives a fuck? They're not hurting anybody. Like, they're no real detriment to society. And so it doesn't make any sense. And I hope that somebody actually, I hope that something eventually does get done about this, or that there's some kind of like regulation behind like the fact, just that these companies can't just go in and, censor shit that people want to do. Like, you can't control people like this. Like, this is, at the end of the day, it's blatant censorship, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. A credit card company shouldn't be allowed to tell you what you can and can't spend money on. Now, they might give you the argument that, oh, well, you're using our service to do this, and we can decide what you can and cannot do. To an extent, yeah. If you're doing something illegal, I understand that. Like, using a Visa card to go buy a truckload of fucking drugs, like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be allowed to do that. But something like this, it's ridiculous. You should be allowed to spend your money on whatever you want. I mean, you're literally spending your money anyways, because you have to pay these people to do this. So it's not like you're, spending somebody else's money to do it. It's ridiculous, plain and simple.
They self-censored themselves, and no, I'm not kidding. As seen here, unsurprisingly, the reason that this happened was, of course, again, due to Collective Shout, the same feminist organization that has plagued and ruined Steam's own free speech operations by also going after their payment processors. This is why this story...
This is just another example of what Sweet Baby Inc. was trying to do, and the whole DEI crap being shoved in people's face because they were strong-armed or they were forced into it, and this, that, and the other. It's the same stupid shit. And it's another company that's going to try and do the same thing, but from a different direction. It's ridiculous.
Is so important. As Ichio says, as you're seeing on screen, this all happened rapidly. They had, according to them anyways, no time to tell people of this change. It was done instantly as soon as these activist groups attempt to pigeonhole and suffocate
Because
these
they don't want to go
platforms of their
through
payment
channels. They want to
infrastructures.
strong arm
Yeah,
people.
guys, this is bad. Like, really, really bad. They're now successfully censoring both Steam and Itch.io in literally under a week. This is serious. But it also gets more concerning because they didn't just remove the ability to buy or download these games that were considered not safe for work. As the community note on X says, as you can see here, Itch.io went as far as to remove games and delist them from people's libraries that they have already paid for, effectively removing hundreds of games or just content in general without refunding a single cent to anyone that has bought any of these games or anything really that is deemed problematic.
Part of that is because refunding the money would instantly have it would force them to interact with these payment processors in a way, or interface with the payment processors, and then the payment processors would see it as, oh, there was an exchange of money for this kind of content or this kind of, game or whatever, and then they would see that as a problem, and that's why they probably didn't issue refunds. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just what it seems like to me. And so I can kind of understand it, but at the same time, I don't agree with it.
Problematic to these activist groups. Yes, that's insane, but as you can see, the power of these activists is growing day by day, and it is beyond concerning. How long until they reach PlayStation and more, demanding this game and that get delisted? Remember, they did...
To be fair, PlayStation and consoles don't really have this kind of content, as far as I'm aware. They're not allowed to put adult-only content onto consoles because that's like a Sony and Microsoft thing, where they don't allow that kind of stuff. So I don't really think they're going to go after Sony or Xbox for it. So that part I don't agree with. Then again, I'll reinstate it. I could be wrong. But I really don't think they're going to go after Sony because Sony and Microsoft, and especially Nintendo, don't really put that kind of stuff on their console game stores, like digital stores or whatever.
Try to get rid of Detroit Become Human for violence on women as well a few years ago. So how long till they go after any game that they claim is too vulgar, if even slightly that just offends them? For an example, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers just came out. I've been playing the game. It's fun. I'm really enjoying it. And if you like Souls-like games like Black Myth Wukong, yeah, it's probably right up your alley too. And the game was a big success already. It was able to hit a peak of 131,000 players within 12 hours of release on Steam. But the game has also been rifled in its own controversy from reviews from PC Gamer, which gave Wu Chang a 49 out of 100, calling it overtly sexualized and having a doll-like...
I'm going to say this. I don't look at game reviews from critics, from, journalists, anything like that, because they're all so fucking idiotic. And they're all so retarded, and they're wrapped up in their political, ideologies and whatnot. Or their, social spectrum as far as what they do and don't like. And they're not reviewing a game because it's a game or on, the merits of a game. They're reviewing it because, oh, they don't like that when women have less clothes, it's already a bad game. Give me a fucking break, people. Nobody gives a shit about this. Obviously, if the game is that popular, nobody cares. And these journalists are just digging themselves into a hole to where eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later, that they will become completely irrelevant. Nobody's going to give a shit about their opinions or whatever. And you're going to eventually do away with critic reviews because a critic review doesn't mean shit anymore. It's obvious that it doesn't mean shit when critic reviews are giving something a 5 out of 10 versus, a player review or reviews by people that actually play the game are giving it, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 kind of ratings. When there's that big of a discrepancy between the two, obviously nobody cares about that. Your argument as a critic is rendered completely fucking useless and moot. So, yeah, no. Don't care. Fuck them.
Protagonist meant only for the male gaze. Even Xbox era, which gave the game a 97 out of 100, docked it 3 points by calling it Gooner approved, which, yeah, raised a lot of eyebrows online, and the scores are mostly positive review-wise besides
should
that
be a
PC
pro.
Gamer one. But what actually worries me here is that so many reviews out
Should
there
be a
for
good
Wu
thing,
Chang
right?
are labeling the game as overtly sexual. Why that matters is because how long until Collective Shout discovers the existence of Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, and then forces platforms like Steam or hell, even PlayStation to delist the game because they deem it to be too sexual, or they threaten to also go after payment processors unless the game is taken down. It may sound like hyperbole now, but if they were able to censor hundreds of games in a single week, why not a single other game too? You see, what we're witnessing is a feminist chess move that cannot be beaten as of right now anyways. Which is why I
It's
implore
just
people to sign that
ridiculous.
petition that I referenced earlier,
So
because
dumb.
we need all hands on deck for this one. Yes, I know, there's plenty to combat in video games alone. I know. I just covered Pal World. You got the Stop Killing Games things. You got Pirate Software probably still doing something stupid for all we know behind the scenes. But honestly, right now, all of that is being dwarfed by this current.
I'll be honest, I haven't watched any of the Pirate Software stuff. Don't really care about it. I don't care about stupid streamer drama and shit like that. I personally don't give a shit. I try to stick to actual game related stuff or video game related news or videos and stuff like that because I don't care about drama. I'm not in high school anymore. I really don't care. I get it. People love the drama. Oh my God, this person said this person. Cool, bro. All right. I don't care. I personally just don't give a shit. Now, do I have my own guilty pleasures as far as videos and other content goes? Yes. Me personally, in my free time, I watch police body camera videos of stupid domestic disputes. That's my guilty pleasure. Got me. But as far as on stream, I don't care. You probably won't see me react to it unless I get a good amount of people that say, hey, you should watch this. Okay, maybe then I might. But until then, not in the ballpark.
Current problem, in my opinion. Because what Itch.io did with their abrupt decision is another extension of something like Stop.
They weren't even prompted to do it. Like, these people didn't reach out to them and send anything to them. They just feared, out of like pure fear that that hammer was going to come falling on them. They pulled the cord on it, which is a good indication of exactly what these companies do. Is they just bully and force people into decisions, and it causes a huge fucking wave of drama and backlash. And I really hope that this goes the same way that the Sweet Baby thing went, and where people push back against it enough to where eventually it falls flat on its fucking face. Because you shouldn't be allowed to, force people into decisions like this just because, oh, I'm a good person, you're not, because of the things you like. Fuck you.
Killing games. But this has evolved into effectively what I would just call stop censoring games. You see, after Gamergate 2 happened and the DEI slop was understandably challenged and destroyed by practically everyone, we all just believed blissfully that the industry would return to normalcy. Instead, it seems like the very kinds of people who champion that sort of slop have now gone scorched earth with this credit card nonsense. And how long until any game that features any sort of sexualized character is banned or removed from digital storefronts?
To be fair, they tried to do this in the 90s as well, with like violent video games, saying that violent video games, was making kids be violent people because they played violent games. So fucking stupid. No, it's not because of the games that these kids played. It's because of the parents that don't want to fucking watch what the fuck their kids are doing. They want nothing to do with their goddamn kid. And so they let them do whatever they want in their own fucking room, and they don't monitor anything. They don't try to teach them, what's real and what's fake, the difference between the two. No, it's bad parenting. Because every time you see this kind of shit happen, where some kid goes and shoots up a school, who were the last ones to say anything about it? The fucking parents. Well, I don't know what happened. Yeah, you fucking do, because you didn't pay attention to what your fucking kid was doing. That's what it is. I've got kids. I know exactly what my kids are doing. I talk to my kids. I explain things to my kids. I pay attention to what they're doing, what their interests are, all this kind of shit. So you can't tell me that, you just didn't know that they were into that. If you didn't know, then you have nothing to do with your kid's life. And you're not involved with your kids the way you should be. They're your fucking kids. Show an interest. Or at least pretend to show an interest. So it's just so stupid to blame stuff like this. Blame video games as a way of saying, oh, well, this causes this. This kind of game causes this. Shut the fuck up. Don't be disingenuous.
For an example, I have 60 hours in Atelier Yumiya. I think it's a great game that everyone should check out. I really like that game a lot. But, I mean, Yumiya, as you can see on screen, she's an attractive character. She's a woman with outfits in-game that do indeed, I guess unfortunately now, show.
I remember playing these games on like PS2 and PS3. I do remember these. They were good RPGs. I loved them. I didn't know they made a new one, so I might have to check it out now.
Skin. So how long until Collective Shout learns of Atelier Yumiya, or hell, the Ryza trilogy before it, and claims those two are just overtly sexualized and must also be removed or else? So where does this end?
Game, that's all
what
it
this
is.
Could do is force the feminist filter of everyone must be as ugly as they are, inside or out, onto every game. Otherwise, your game is...
This is a blatant American mindset. Like, no other country in the world has this kind of mindset or this kind of like bullying towards, you know, whatever. They don't have this feminist mentality against video games, against media, movies, whatever. No other country does this. Look at half the shit that comes out of fucking Japan and China. What is it? Big titty anime girls. That's all it is. Like, and it's obvious that these companies don't give a shit. They produce the kind of stuff that they like to enjoy. They produce video games and anime and manga and all this other, you know, forms of media that they themselves would enjoy. And that's what it boils down to. That, and they know exactly who their target audience is. They're not stupid. They understand it. And it's when you have something that's more grounded in reality, and these people that, you know, are, in some cases, it's kind of shameless. But no, people enjoy that kind of shit. That's what they want. Why would you want to deny something from somebody that they clearly want? Oh, crap. I'll be right back.
Is going to be targeted.
All right, sorry about that.
Censored, or used as blackmail to even remove it as well. I would not be surprised if Collective Shout targets Wu Chang in the future, because it is the next hot game right now. And the main character is, of course, drawing all sorts of ire from the usual types who hate anything that isn't as ugly as they are. Just go look at how the founder of Collective Shout is moving right now. Belinda Tankard Rice said this recently about people being upset that so many games are being censored. Here's what she said. All these PORN sick brain rotted PEDO gamer fetishes so desperate to get their hands on RAPE My Little Sister INCEST games, they're now exchanging clues on how to find them so that they don't all die overnight. I have to censor myself like crazy just to say what she said there, dude. God damn. But of course, this is not someone who even plays these video games. She's just lumping all games regardless of context or actual content, and then just claiming that every game that she and her group have successfully censored and removed are just games that are full of PORN and RAPE, which is completely not true. It's like a boomer parent thinking that all games are just Mario Bros or something.
Just because something has just because of like these adult games or whatever, and just because they involve some kind of fetish or fantasy or, you know, whatever, some kind of kink that these people have, you can't go around kink shaming people for this kind of crap. Like, so fucking what? It's a goddamn video game. It's not like they're going out doing it, and then, you know, you see a giant rise in all these sexual assaults in, you know, in the world. And it's not the case. It's not it. Just because somebody plays that kind of game doesn't mean that they're that kind of person. So what? I don't care what your interest is. If you're interested in, you know, getting beaten to death by a steel dildo by somebody that's wearing a Bugs Bunny costume, you do your thing. I don't care. You're not hurting nobody. Might be hurting yourself, but that's a different story. I don't care. Like, let people have their, you know, their interests or whatever, as long as they're not hurting somebody else or, you know, causing themselves harm maybe. But no, like, who gives a shit? Like, people are allowed to have their own interests. Whether you agree with it or not is completely fucking irrelevant in the conversation. So unless somebody's doing something illegal or causing harm to themselves or somebody else, shouldn't be an issue at all. And you should not be able to tell people what they can and cannot do just because you don't agree with it. There's a lot of things everybody disagrees with, but you don't go around telling them that they can't do it just because you don't agree with it. Not the way the world works.
Or any other generalization someone makes about anything. Like, oh, you watch anime. Isn't that the cartoons with the little girls in it? Even though things like Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan, or I don't know, Escaflowne exist, but to them, this Melinda lady is just all the same thing. Every female anime character in any game or manga is underage or a victim to these people. Every game that has a woman showing cleavage is just PORN. It doesn't matter to them, okay? It's all the same thing. And when you have these people who clearly do not consume, nor do they understand the content that they want censored.
We just need to throw all these mentally ill people into a giant hole, make it about like 50 feet deep, and just throw them all into a hole. Leave them there. Make like a little cage over the top so they can't get out. Throw them all there, and just forget about it. The world will be a much better place.
In the first place, they're not carefully sifting through each game to actually check its contents. They just see something they don't like and go, yep, that's bad, let's censor that too. That cannot stand. We have to push against this. Especially when these people are ousted as hypocrites who claim that they love movies like Cuties. Yeah, that Cuties, whose poster I also have to censor because, I mean, just look at it. So anyway, Savvy, a friend of the channel, has been at war with these.
To be fair, there are a lot of like minor, like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? There's a lot of these little like pop singer, little girl groups or whatever that are really popular amongst little girls. Now, are there the weirdos that fantasize about that or that, you know, are weird about those kind of, you know, little girl singing groups? Yes. Does that mean they shouldn't exist? No. Who fucking cares? Like, it's obvious that it's for children or, you know, younger preteen girls into that kind of music. Yes. Should they be banned because there are weirdos in the world? No. It's so ridiculous. The amount of censorship has gotten way out of hand.
Feminist weirdos for days now, calling them out for defending movies like Cuties, which should be the exact kind of content that they want to censor, but of course people who work at Collective Shout like this LS Kennedy lady defended it instead. Only for Savvy then to immediately find evidence of other Collective Shout members who've defended and want to protect movies like Cuties as well as seen here. Again, at the...
I don't know what Cuties is. I think it's... Is it a movie? Is that what it is? Oh, I think I remember hearing about this. Okay, yeah. Never mind. I remember hearing about this. Don't care.
Censored the poster because it has a bunch of girls on it showing skin that are underage. It's a no, anyway, whatever. These people, as you can see, okay, they don't make any sense. You want to censor sexualized content, but you're fine with little kids in skimpy clothes dancing and shaking their butts on screen for Netflix? Like, these people are just corrupted. It also doesn't help that this censorship has gone so far that even PayPal recently tried to censor their own users who use their platform for spreading what they call misinformation, only to, of course, retract their claims due to immense backlash, and rightfully so. Like, the censorship is real, guys, and it's everywhere. Steam is the primary battleground, sure, but this problem is permeating through everything. As seen here, these are just some of the things that Collective Shout is censoring or forcing payment processors to censor.
Censoring urine. What's wrong with being pissed on or pissed off? I don't care. You're not hurting nobody. Maybe yourself. You might get a, a little bit of a disease, but oh well. And what's, oh my God. None of this is hurting anybody. It's weird shit, yes, but is it really going to hurt anybody because they like to play video games or shit like that with this in it? No. Even the hub doesn't censor shit this much. There's some weird shit, let me tell you. But even an adult-only website doesn't censor things this much. Now, there are some things that they censor because it's borderline illegal. Well, it is illegal. But for the most part, meh, it's not hurting nobody. Who gives a shit?
Themselves. Yet the things that are listed here are not being equally compared across the board. They're instead just painting everything with a broad stroke, like I said. They're not actually checking to see if what they're pushing censorship on actually adheres to all the things that they have here as well. Instead, it's just a bunch of out-of-touch feminists just seeing anything they don't like and crying foul till they get their way. And again, they're not checking these things.
Fair,
if it looks anything like something they don't like, that has to be censored. And then if it's not censored, places like Steam are also getting blasted for essentially allowing certain companies to skirt past their policies. Let me tell you about this story now too. So, in case you don't know, there's a company named Nexon. They're a South Korean company. They make a lot of games, from the first Descendant, the first Berserker Kazan. Weird that they got 2 games with the first in their title, but this section is actually about a game called Blue Archive. So that's a gacha game that you're seeing on screen here, where Nexon, the publisher, was also being accused of pushing users to give positive reviews for the game on Steam. Yeah. And this was all being done for exchange for in-game items to use for this Blue Archive game. Obviously, a lot of mobile games was against terms of service for Steam, yet Valve just seemingly allowed it to happen anyways. As this user on Steam detailed, Nexon, a billion-dollar company, rallied users to abuse Steam's review policies in order to get positive reviews for their game. Yeah, you can't do this, of course, since it artificially mishandles the review system within Steam. Yet despite this,
to be fair, people abuse the review process, or like user reviews in Steam, all the fucking time. Especially when somebody that makes a game does something they don't like, and so they start review bombing a game. That's blatant abuse of Steam reviews. Front and center. People do it all the fucking time. You see it constantly. So this, to me, is a little bit more, I don't really give a shit. But you can't call this out without calling out review bombing just because people don't like a certain developer or a certain person that makes a game. Yeah.
Steam has not banned Blue Archive, nor any other game that has been made or published by Nexon. Players online, from what I gathered, either didn't care that Nexon was doing this, and others were annoyed, claiming that Nexon was just getting away with market manipulation by preying on users' desires for more in-game currency or whatever else. Whichever camp you fall into, Nexon got away with it, and Steam still hasn't done anything about it. Although, at least in an update, Nexon has pulled this in-game event from Steam for Blue Archive because they knew they got caught quite literally breaking terms of service. They have also garnered, as seen here from Automaton.com's article, around 11,000 reviews, dude, for the game within its first month of launch on Steam alone. And they landed a very positive rating as well. Of course, this was all...
Now, is that a big number of reviews? Kinda. Now, let's base that off of how many people were actually playing this. Now, primarily, I'm going to assume this was mainly played on, mobile. But that's still a good chunk of reviews on Steam. Now, if this was on, like, Google or Android or whatever, or not Android, Android or iPhone, I'd say it's a pretty small number. But, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I really don't. I mean, 11,000 reviews is, it's okay. But it didn't really garner that much of a difference for me to say, oh, that's crazy. Don't care.
Done because they manipulated the systems of Steam by giving goodies to players just to be nice to them. Regardless, though, Steam still hasn't banned or reprimanded Nexon at all. And while sure, the event...
You want to know why? Because a lot of games like this do this. A lot of mobile games will do this. Hey, go leave us a review. We'll give you so much in-game currency. Hey, leave us a review. And it doesn't necessarily state that it has to be a positive review. It just says, leave a review. That's all it says. Now, some of them do say, give us a positive review. Are people going to do it? Yeah. All the thing you're going to do is go in there, put, 1 out of 5 or 5 out of 5, and then boom, get their reward. They don't care. They're just doing it so they can get a free reward. That's all they're doing. And so many mobile games do this. It's just a way to push people to drive up engagement on the, the actual like game page on that platform. That's all it is. And these companies don't give a shit. They just want to drive people to leave a review. And most of the time, people still leave negative reviews about how it's pay to win, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the point. The point is, so many games do this. This one's just being called out because it's one of the first ones on Steam, as far as I know, to actually do this. Every fucking mobile gacha game does this shit. It is nothing new.
Was eventually removed from the game entirely, the reviews that were influenced by this event have not yet been removed, nor has the rating been changed either. So Nexon basically got away with it and Steam allowed it to happen. And you may ask why, but I think it's pretty simple and it's honestly also very concerning, which is that Steam likely refused to discipline Nexon because they make them too much money. Which also makes this whole situation now another real problem if Steam is willing to look the other way, simply if some company is putting money in their bank accounts and it keeps increasing, despite the ethical dilemmas behind the actions of these key publishers. Look, all I'm saying is that when I look at Steam right now, I consider it to be compromised in a few ways. They are 100% censoring and removing games because feminist groups are now up in arms and targeting their cash flow. But they're also allowing these companies to break TOS as long as said money keeps coming in. And I know that people love Steam. I do think it's a great platform, but this does need to be said. There has to be accountability. And honestly, this feels as if Steam and its leaders are just kind of asleep at the wheel as long as more money keeps flowing their way. And in a cruel twist, Nexon even confirmed that the promised goodies that they were going to give Blue Archive players for helping them manipulate the gacha game into a positive rating, they won't even receive the bonuses that were promised to them. So, they collectively swindled everyone, got what they wanted, and then gave people nothing in return for it. And this just seems to be a reoccurring theme in this video.
I think they're not going to give out the rewards for a different reason. I don't think it's a matter of swindling people for these reviews. It's a matter of, okay, we did this, now there's some backlash against us, people are saying this, these companies are saying this. I think it's a matter of them trying to save face. So it's a matter of now, oh, well, this could be seen as, like a, some sort of like breaking terms of service kind of trade, this service for this service kind of thing. And so I think they're backpedaling the rewards to try to alleviate that stress on them, or, that bad PR on them. But I don't think it's a matter of trying to swindle somebody. I don't think it's that cut and dry. There's usually something going on behind the scenes to where they would stop them from, trying to dish out rewards or whatever. I think that's more likely than what's going on. Now, I could be wrong, but that's my general guess.
Doesn't it? Itch.io just removes games that you paid for and then says, sorry, you can't have these. Otherwise, we lose our money. Nexon does this too. Steam just allows it. Like, what is going on, man? But it gets more dire, also from automaton.com. Visa Japan CEO says disabling card payment for legal adult content is necessary to protect the brand. You see what I mean? Steam could have stopped this had they just stood their ground and told Collective Shout to just screw off. But now because they didn't, everything...
Because they don't want to find another alternative to these payment processors, because so many people use Visa, MasterCard, whatever, and PayPal. So many people use this as a way to pay for games or pay for things on Steam that the other alternatives to being able to find some way to get people to still pay for these kind of things is a pain in the ass, and they didn't want to put in the effort to find a different method. That's my general opinion.
Thing is being impacted now because of it. I'm not exactly blaming Steam per se, but they did have a chance to stop this, and that is the truth. Like even another service called Melonbrooks, as seen here, has had its payment processors completely severed after they refused to comply with these same activist groups. So yes,
Yeah.
this problem is very dire. And Steam and all the rest of them have allowed Pandora's box, the gates of oblivion, to open, whatever you want to call it, and it's not stopping anytime soon. Great, as I was editing this, more came out, so I'm sorry if I sound a bit different. This part was recorded after I was already done editing the video. Anyway, so it now turns out the Collective Shout is also targeting X or Twitter with their ban too. They want to censor all PORN on the platform and anything else that they deem unfit to exist by their standards. So, there you go, guys. Now your so-called free speech platform that allows people to voice their opinions freely might just be getting cooked by this, as X obviously has not only advertisers, but many people's credit cards on file to pay for premium and then some. They are genuinely coming for everything, and they want to rule with an iron fist, and no, I am not kidding. So please don't sit back and think that this one will work itself out, because this will just keep getting worse. This is something that we need to be shouting from the rooftops in order to ensure that it doesn't get worse than it already is. First it's Steam, then itch.io, then these manga sites, and now what, X, and then what else? YouTube, Google in general? So where does this end?
they'll definitely go after Google.
So I implore you to please sign that petition.
Everybody wants to go after Google.
Because this issue needs to be brought forth in front of more eyes in legislation. It has to stop. It needs to be fixed. So I seriously hope that you all tell people what's going on here. Share the video. Share the petition even. Just get the word out there, people, please. We need to stop this before it reaches a further point of no return. How long until Wu Chang, Atelier, Final Fantasy, God knows what else, gets pulled into this maelstrom of disinformation and scare tactics and media manipulation? This needs to end now. But let me know what you think as always. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to keep up to date, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, no, this is only going to get worse, and they're going to continue to go after every single company, every single platform that has anything to do with stuff that they don't themselves agree with or like. And it's going to get to a point to where there has to be some kind of government intervention that says, hey, you can't do this. You can't just strong arm these companies into doing what you want to do. They're allowed to do what they want to do. People are allowed to buy what they want to buy, as long as it's, still legal. I can understand them wanting to ban illegal stuff, but there's nothing illegal going on. I mean, obviously. So, time will tell. I don't know. I think it's going to go the same way the Sweet Baby thing kind of went, where you'll see it get really, really out of hand, and then finally maybe there's a chance that it could get shut down or regulated. But yeah, something has to change, because this is only going to get worse. Like, I'm just letting you know now. But no, that was a great video. So